Thank you. Good evening. My name is Eoghan Lavery. I am an Irish comedian. I come from Northern Ireland originally, which means that I always find myself in very high demand during the period around St. Patrick's Day. This is because this is the one time of year in which comedy organisers go desperately searching for comedians who can get away with doing routines about balaclavas, kneecapping and the Brighton bombing without technically being racist. Being as I am, however, a comedian of principle, I refuse to take any part in this tacky exploitation of the land in which I grew up. On the contrary, I view it as my solemn duty as a representative for my country to give a truthful, nuanced and multifaceted insight into what Northern Ireland is really like. And this is why all of my material this evening will be about balaclavas, kneecapping and Brighton bombing. Because unfortunately that's really all there is to say about that dehumanising shithole of a country. Indeed, the thing I hate most about gigging around St. Patrick's Day is that it forces me every year to take yet another traumatic trip down memory lane in search of inspiration for new material. This inevitably involves getting out all the old family albums, a particularly pointless process when you bear in mind just how much clothing we Northern Irelanders tend to wear over our faces. It's become rather difficult telling our photos apart. In fact, I remember once when I was very, very young, my dear old Uncle Liam, he took pity on me once when he saw me sifting through a lot of old family photos trying to figure out who anybody was. And he picked up one of my little felt tip pens and he labelled each photo with the names of the people who were in the photos. And I mean, I just found that to be such a kind and thoughtful act from an absolute diamond of a human being. Unfortunately, when the rest of the family found out about this, he was accused of being an informer and was taken out and shot. Fortunately, I was able to escape from that place and come to these shores back in 2005. This was, of course, back in the days when refugees from barren, hostile, war-torn wastelands were welcomed with open arms. And like many artistically inclined escapees from that cultural desert, I came to these shows chasing dreams of artistic success and stardom. Although looking back at it now, I have to say that I'm really rather relieved that I never did become a celebrity, because of course it's a very dangerous time to be a celebrity these days. If you just take one look at the growing roll call of the recently deceased Pratchett, Lemmy, Bowie, Rickman, Wogan, Daniels a few days ago, you can see that it's becoming an epidemic of almost biblical proportions. And indeed, there does seem to be a suspiciously strong sense of divine intervention hanging over the whole thing. And if you want my theory, I just think that God, who as we all know is omnipresent and omniscient, which means he has to be everywhere at once, overseeing and watching everything, I just think that God is so sick and tired of having to watch Celebrity Big Brother, Celebrity Fit Club, Celebrity Master Chef, Celebrity Wedding Planner, and of course my particular favourite, Celebrity Live Organ Transplant, that he's realised the only way to get these shows off the air before real celebrities are forced to stoop that low is to mow down and murder as many celebrities as he possibly can. So he started subtly by getting rid of half of Britain's celebrities through non-fatal means, by sending a tip off to Operation U-Tree. But after that, after he got rid of all the rotten apples, I think he just got impatient, waiting for somebody spotlessly clean, like, you know, Terry Wogan said, to actually reveal that he did have a dark side by, I don't know, discovering his basement to be full of prepubescent sex slaves trafficked in by the Paraguayan entry from last year's Eurovision. That he realised the only way to accelerate this process and get rid of all celebrities, both the good and the evil, was to go on a celebrity killing spree, the like of which hasn't been seen since the Manson family murders. But whatever the cause, I'm sure you'll agree this is all becoming somewhat excessive, because I spend a lot of time in cafes where they have the television turned on with the volume on mute, which means you can watch the news but you can't actually hear it. And it's got to the point where any time I see news footage of a celebrity, I just immediately assume it's an obituary. I mean, that is how desensitised, that is how used to the idea of celebrities dropping like flies I've become, that I cannot see one on the news without immediately assuming that's another one snuffed it. And I think that's the reason why so many of my fellow cafe customers have come to the mistaken conclusion that I'm some sort of massive Tory. Because every time I see news footage of David Cameron, I give an almighty cheer. Safest joke you can do in Norwich. But genuinely felt. But I mean, if things keep going this way for much longer, no one's going to want to be a celebrity anymore. I mean, they'll all just go into hiding. Next year's Comic Relief will now be hosted by a group of starving Ethiopian children who will spend all evening solemnly informing us that every time I click my fingers, a celebrity dies. Before then launching into another rousing rendition of the new charity single entitled Do They Know It's the BAFTAs Anyway? But I have to say the most surreal aspect of all this is that we're actually running out of dying celebrities to pay tribute to at such an alarmingly excessive rate that we've actually started to recycle celebrity deaths. I mean, I don't know how many of you remember a couple of months back when BBC News accidentally reposted an old obituary to Leslie Nielsen. And I couldn't believe how many thousands of people had posted tributes on Twitter before somebody finally tweeted, hang on, didn't he die in 2010? Because that is the remarkable thing about Twitter, isn't it? All that it takes is one single misinformed tweet to trigger an absolute avalanche of horse shit. I mean, if you want another example, a very good friend of mine from back in Ireland, a devout Catholic friend of mine, he recently tweeted the perfectly innocuous phrase, Jesus died for all our sins. And within seconds, this was followed by thousands of moronic tweets about how sad it was to hear that we've just lost Jesus. I mean, a mere matter of days after Wogan, it's just not fair. Until somebody finally tweeted, hang on, didn't he die in 33 AD? But, and it's all going to get even more confusing soon, because of course it's only a matter of time before living celebrities realise that all they need to do to get thousands of fawning, sycophantic tweets about just how fucking wonderful they are is to get someone they know to falsely announce their death. And I mean, they'll all be at it soon. Jim Carrey, Judi Dench, William Shatner. Well, assuming, of course, those three people haven't actually died in the last 5 minutes since up the arm, wouldn't altogether surprise me. But they'll all be at it, falsely announcing their death just to find out how much people really love them. I have a feeling Piers Morgan is in for a nasty shock. Yes, I have a feeling Piers Morgan will actually succeed where Kim Kardashian failed. And since I've noted whatsoever that the sheer flood of smiley faces and LOLs that will no doubt bombard Piers Morgan's Twitter feed with the news of his death really will actually break the internet. But going back to the subject of celebrities who people actually like, and give a fuck whether they live or die, I noticed particularly the ingenious troll had tweeted that Lenny Henry had died. And of course within seconds a representative from ITV had tweeted a moving and heartfelt tribute to Ainsley Harriott. I don't know how many of you remember that painfully funny faux pas from a few months back when ITV tried to put together a short tribute to the well-known black comedian Lenny Henry as a means of commemorating his recent knighthood. And they couldn't manage to put together a mere 5 minutes of footage without accidentally including a clip of a completely different black man, the celebrity chef Ainsley Harriott. Now publicly, of course, they reacted to this by profusely apologising for any offence caused. Privately, of course, they reacted by breathing a sigh of relief that it was a clip of Ainsley Harriott they had accidentally included, and not Bill Cosby. But I mean, can you imagine when Lenny Henry does actually die, and ITV has to put together a whole hour-long tribute show? I mean, can you imagine just how many different black men they'll have room to accidentally include them? Highlights of the Lenny Henry tribute show will no doubt include his famous I Have a Dream speech from 1965. But bear in mind, Lenny Henry was only born in 1958, that's an impressive oratorical feat for 5 years. Followed no doubt by his groundbreaking music video for the song Thriller in 1982. And then climaxing with his groundbreaking election as the first black president of the United States in 2008. What a busy beaver that man was. And then after the obituary tribute show will no doubt come the obligatory biopic, in which the part of Lenny Henry will be played, as we all know, by Benedict Cumberbatch. An appropriate choice. So on that oh so satirical note, I shall bid you adieu. I've been Eoghan Lavery, you've been fantastic. Thank you very much. Good night.